Hey everyone, and welcome back to Code with Tinodra. In today's video, I wanted to share my personal journey of how I started learning to code before diving into tutorials. Learning to code wasn't always easy for me, and I've made my fair share of mistakes. Hopefully, my story will inspire you if you're just getting started and help you avoid some of the challenges I faced along the way. Like many of you, I didn't always know I wanted to become a programmer. My journey started when I realized that those beautiful and functional pages we use every day weren't just magic. Those sites were created through something called coding, and that blew my mind. I didn't know anything about programming languages, and I didn't know where to start. So, like many beginners, I turned to Google and YouTube to figure it out, and that's where it all began. At first, I was completely hooked. I started watching every YouTube tutorial I could find about building websites. You know those tutorials that say learn to code in 10 minutes? Yeah, I fell for that one too. Spoiler, it takes a bit longer than that. But, yeah, pun intended, they were some of my first videos that I actually started to learn something. They were my first taste of coding. I started small, learning HTML and CSS, the basic building blocks of web pages. It felt amazing to write a few lines of code and see something appear on a screen. And at first, that was mind blowing to me. I spent hours watching, pausing, rewinding, and trying to replicate what the instructor was building. But here is the thing I realized after a while that I wasn't really learning. I would follow tutorials step by step, but the moment I tried to build something on my own, I was completely stuck. I would think, okay, I've built 10 websites by following tutorials, I am ready now. But every time I sat down to start a project from scratch, I didn't know where to begin. My code wouldn't work, I couldn't structure a website on my own, and I kept feeling like I was missing something. Fun fact: there was a time when I spent 3 hours trying to figure out why my website wouldn't load. Turns out I forgot to save the file. Rookie mistake, right? This was super frustrating. I started doubting myself. Was I even cut out for coding? Was I wasting my time? Looking back, I realized what the problem was. I wasn't truly understanding the concepts. I was just copying and pasting the code without thinking about what it meant. Eventually, I decided to take a different approach. I told myself no more tutorials for a while. I took what I already knew, the basics of HTML, CSS, and decided to build a simple website entirely on my own. It was hard, really hard. I spent hours googling things like how to center a div or how to link CSS to HTML. And at this point, I'm surprised Google hasn't given me an award for the most searched how to center a div. If you're watching Google, I'm still waiting.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
So that website wasn't perfect. In fact, it was pretty bad. The design was clunky and the code was a total mess. But it was my first website. It was the first time I built something from scratch without following someone else's instructions. That was a huge moment for me because it gave me confidence. And I realized at that exact moment that I could figure things out on my own. Now, let me address something I see a lot online. There are so many videos and ads that promise you that you can learn to code and land a high paying job in just 6 months. And while it sounds amazing, it's not realistic for most people. Learning to code takes time and hard work. It's not about rushing through tutorials or trying to memorize everything. It's about developing a deeper understanding of how things work and building projects to reinforce what you have learned. After building some website on my own and actually getting the hang of it a bit, I then moved to JavaScript and I spent months learning JavaScript and went through a lot of hardship getting decent at this new programming language. Eventually, I moved into React, a powerful library that made building dynamic web applications much more manageable. React opened up a whole new world to me. After some time with React, I decided to dive into backend development. That's when I started learning Node.js, which allowed me to write server-side code using JavaScript. Pairing Node.js with MongoDB for database management felt like stepping into a new dimension of coding. Now I could build full-stack applications, projects where I handle everything from the front end to the back end. Each step in this journey taught me valuable lessons and made me appreciate how vast and interconnected the world of programming really is. After building lots of projects using the MERN stack, so for those who don't know, MERN stands for Mongo, Express, React, and Node.js. I got my first internship. Funny enough, it wasn't even in JavaScript. It was working with .NET and Angular, which uses TypeScript. Those 3 months were intense, but they taught me so much about working in a professional environment and collaborating with a team. At the end of my internship, I received a return offer, but I decided to move on and explore other opportunities. That's when I joined another company as a backend developer. This time I work with Java and SQL databases. Since I had built some projects in Java using Spring Boot, I was a bit familiar to Java in general. But switching between languages and frameworks was challenging, but it taught me that once you understand the fundamentals of programming, you can adapt to almost anything. Through this journey, I learned a few important lessons that I want to share with you. Patience is key. Coding takes time, and it's completely normal to feel stuck or frustrated. Don't give up. Consistency matters. Even if you code only for 30 minutes a day, these small steps add up over time. Don't just follow tutorials. Tutorials are great for learning the basics, but the real learning happens when you try to build something on your own. I'm not saying don't watch any tutorial at all, but after getting the hang of it a bit, try and build something on your own. It is okay to Google. Every single programmer, from beginner to senior or even lead programmers, they all use Google. The problem begins when you only solely rely on AI. Things like AI are amazing, but they should not stop you from advancing yourself and learning. Never stop learning. Technology is always evolving, and there is always something new to learn in the world of programming. If you're on your coding journey right now, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments how you got started or what challenges you are facing. Remember, everyone's journey is different, and it's okay to struggle. The important thing is to keep going. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might need a little motivation to start coding. On this channel, Code with Leonora, we'll keep learning together one step at a time. Thanks for watching, and in the next video, I will be walking you through the basics of websites. So stay tuned, keep coding, and I will see you in the next one.